Hey guys, Kakarot197 again, with another question of the week. This time asked by I am a person who wants to know more about subflight systems. So, are they piloted or autonomous? Because, as he says, in Sharp's counterattack, Amuro pilots a base jabber to go to the moon to see the new Gundam, and yet, in the same movie, we can also see some Jagans dismount from their base jabbers and yeet them into space and even launch them on a collision course to blow up some Gyrodogas. So he also asks, he ends his question then by, ideas anyone? Unfortunately, I do. But first, I want to tell you about another great idea. Trying out today's sponsor, Artery Gear Fusion, a turn-based RPG where you have to gather a team of flamboyant mecha girls to fight against the brutal puppets that are trying to devour the world. And with over 100 unique characters from various factions to choose from, you'll have a lot of freedom to create your own awesome team. You know my motto, thick thighs save lives. And in Neo's case, they come with equally powerful assets. Or go with Cerulean and her devastating bow. And the girls aren't the only thing that'll catch your attention. The graphics and explosive battle animations are also a feast for your eyes, and the gameplay is made to focus on strategy, one of my personal favorite genres. So click that link down below to download the game and get a bunch of awesome extras. Things like a ton of extra funds and forging element crystals, a special Neo skin passing star, and a free SSR pool. And the best of it all is that you can keep resetting that pool until you get exactly what you want. So now back to what I am a person wanted to know. And since you're asking about subflight systems in general, let's start with the granddaddy of them all, the Dodai YS. This thing was originally just developed as a uniquely shaped bomber, but at some point during its development, some Xeon engineers must have had a few too many beers and had some amazing drunk ideas, which they then turned into reality. But at the end of the day, the Dodai YS is still fundamentally a bomber plane that just happens to have the extra capabilities of having a mobile suit hitching a ride on its back. And in fact, this is apparently the reason why every goof has a commander antenna for better communication. Well, technically it's not a commander antenna, but we all call it a commander antenna. They were designed to work together with the Dodais, so they needed all the communication capabilities they could get for when they entered areas with heavy Minovsky particle interference, and as a more handy alternative to the usual like touch communications which you often see mobile suits do in the anime, which I think that should also work for planes and like ships if I remember correctly. And this communication is very important because unlike later subflight systems, the pilot of the goof had no control over the Dodai. So if the goof's pilot wanted the Dodai to do something, he would have to contact the Dodai's pilot and tell them like, hey, do X and Y, go heading, whatever. So being able to communicate was very important, and the same went for the developments of the Dodai GA and the Dodai 2. So if you ever see one of those blowing up with or without a goof on them, there was a pilot in there. So please do not kamikaze the Dodai that you're on if you're piloting a goof or if you're writing a story about a goof pilot who's on a Dodai. The thing's always piloted. And this idea of subflight systems was then adopted and improved upon by the Federation in the post-war, with some of the most famous ones being the Dodai Kai and the base jabber. And even though these two are quite different on the outside and very distinct from each other, for the sake of this video, they're actually extremely similar to the point of being virtually the same. They're both weaponized, missiles for the Dodai Kai and a megaparticle cannon for the base jabber. They're designed from the ground up to carry mobile suits, and, very important here, they can either be piloted or remote controlled by the mobile suit flying on it through the handlebars. How this exactly works, though, is never explicitly mentioned anywhere, but there are two ways that I can think of that would kinda explain this in a Gundam universe established way. First of all, like I already said, mobile suits have touch communication capabilities. Basically, mobile suits can either straight up touch each other to communicate, or in later series they'll have like small grappling wires in the fingers they can shoot out to then communicate through those. So it is possible that the mobile suit is talking to the subflight system in a similar way. The second way then could be similar to how mobile suits link up with their handheld weaponry, which is kind of how I always imagined that it would work. Basically, the hands of mobile suits have these plugs in them that connect to the weapons, and this then allows various things to happen. The most important ones being identifying what kind of weapon it's holding, and in the case of beam weapons, providing power for the thing. So I always assumed that this plug could also be used to link up to whatever subflight system it's on and give it the capability to control it. And fortunately, the same thing goes for the Type 89s that the Jagans yeeted at those Gyaradogas to score some extra kills. So don't worry, they were unmanned. I hope. And then the only difference between them and the earlier base jabber is that the Type 89s and also the later Type 94s were unarmed in favor of better mobile suit carrying capabilities. And then finally, let's talk about some of the benefits of having both options available, because throughout the animes, we've seen subflight systems used in a variety of ways thanks to this. So, on the battlefield, I think that the decision of having your flyers either manned or unmanned would mostly boil down to the type of battle that's going on and how many men you have available. If the battle was going to take mostly place in mid-air, there wouldn't be too much benefit to having an extra pilot in your Dodai or your base jabber. The mobile suit would be on the flyer the entire time anyways, and save for some very niche occasions, you would just be using one or two extra people that could be doing something else, like manning a gun turret or helping out in the hangar. Something that would be especially important for, certain rebel groups that were already having a chronic man shortage. Also, if the enemy were to attack you with a beam saber or blows up the generator of your mobile suit, there's a good chance that both the mobile suit and the subflight system get taken out in one hit, resulting in 2 or 3 men being dead rather than 1 if you just had the mobile suit piloted. And under certain circumstances, you could also use your subflight system as an improvised rocket. Again, if it was unmanned. The benefits of having it manned then is more flexibility during combat, especially in the case of the armed base jabbers. The pilot of the mobile suit now doesn't have to fly the subflight system the entire time and can dismount as he sees fit, something that can also be very beneficial in mid-air, especially if you're an ace pilot. The enemy probably wouldn't expect some mad lad to just jump off his subflight system and bum rush him with a beam saber. After which his trusty wingman can then just pick him up again to continue the fight on the subflight system. Or when it comes to ground battles, the subflight system can be used to deliver the mobile suit to the conflict zone, after which it can still serve as aerial support. Or again, if you're an ace pilot and you like to dual wield your weapons instead of just using the standard single weapon, then having your subflight system piloted will also help you out with this. Because in order to remote control it, you'll need at least one of your mobile suit's hands holding onto one of the handlebars. Your flyer isn't just going to turn itself off when you stop holding the handlebar, but I guess it would just continue on in a straight line, making you an easy and predictable target for the enemy. Then from a utility point of view, the ability to be manned also allows them to basically become a flying pickup truck. You can use them to just go somewhere, like Amuro going to pick up the new Gundam, or you can also strap some cargo onto them and have them deliver it. So, especially the armed original base jabber and Dodai Kai are kinda like jack of all trades, and it's really no surprise that they had such a long service life. Also, there's a couple of purely unmanned subflight systems too, so let's quickly go over some of those. There is the more traditional looking this thing, which has its name written in a different way wherever you look. In Japanese, it's called Geta, which to me sounds like it would become Getter. On Mach, it's romanized as Getar, which is equally correct considering the katakana that they used. And then on the Gundam wiki, you'll find it listed as Gator, a very free transliteration, let's say. But naming aside, it is a weaponless and pilotless version of the base jabber, meaning that it's probably better at either carrying mobile suits, cheaper to produce, or both. And then the other one is the Shackles, a subflight system that is pretty distinct because not only is it unpiloted, but it also allows the mobile suit riding on it to use both hands. Rather than requiring the mobile suit to hold onto handlebars for controlling the craft, the feet are now slotted into it, which I guess then somehow allows the mobile suit to control it. The other explanation then would be some kind of actual remote control, but that sounds like it would clash with how every other subflight system works, because if this thing can do it without handlebars, then why wouldn't every other subflight system be able to do it without handlebars? Also, in the anime, it is shown as unarmed, but Japanese Wikipedia tells us that according to the setting materials on the Shackles, there is supposed to be a Vulcan cannon somewhere. I think in the front, but it is somewhere apparently. And then since we're on the topic of the subflight systems, here is another question that I got about them a couple days later. This time from Dorian Brooks. Could we get a development history on the base jabber? I've always found it fascinating how a show that is based on feasible logic came up with a carrier that could hold a mobile suit and stay stable while said mobile suit is engaged in combat. Also, how do their frames take the stress of a mobile suit jumping on and off of them? So, for the first question, the base jabbers and their derivatives are definitely something I could do a short video on, well, a shorter video on someday, but not right now. What I will do right now is try to answer your other questions as good as I can, because unfortunately, there's not really any specifics. Like, the best you're gonna get in the official sources is that the base jabber can hold mobile suits because that's what it was designed to do. But something like that has never stopped me from speculating before, so here goes. For the stability issue, my best guess would be that when the mobile suit is remote controlling the base jabber, it has the ability to, like, sync up the base jabber with its auto balancer. So not only is the mobile suit stabilizing itself, but it's also actively engaging with the base jabber to balance the duo. Although I guess this would only work if you have one mobile suit on the base jabber, or when you have two mobile suits that are both holding onto one handlebar each, which isn't something that they always do. Like, I rewatched Zeta Gundam for a little bit, and while for the most part you will see both mobile suits holding onto one handlebar each, you can also spot some cases where one machine is holding on to one of the handlebars, and then the other machine is just holding on to its weapon with both hands. For the ability to carry the machines then in the first place, and also the ability to survive an impact of them either landing or crashing on them, I have three ideas that can work together. First, a reinforced frame that's made out of Luna titanium alloy, or Gundarium gamma as they call it at the time of the base jabbers. We don't have the armor materials listed for any of the subflight systems as far as I know, so it's not a stretch of the imagination to assume that they would use that. Then, secondly, some kind of suspension system on the plateau that's actually carrying the mobile suits. Like, this could at least help somewhat absorb the shock of a mobile suit landing on it, and I guess this could also help to stabilize the mobile suit on it during combat. And then third, some kind of proximity sensor that can detect when a mobile suit is going to land on it, and then adjust the base jabber's flight path accordingly. Like, I don't think the base jabber has the ability to just straight up thrust downwards to kind of catch the impact, but I think it could be programmed in such a way to automatically adopt a flight course that would somewhat minimize the impact. And those were the best explanations that I could come up with, so let me know down below what you think of them, and if you have any ideas of your own. Of course, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer in a future question of the week video, you can also leave that down there. And that has been all for this video. Then don't forget to check out Archer Gear Fusion with the link down below. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.